So now that Euphoria Season 3 is officially in production, there has been a question floating around for a while. Do we really need a Season 3? As of January 10th, it would have been 3 whole years since Season 2 came out, and 6 years since the first season came out. I was 13 when Season 1 came out, and will be 20, maybe 21, when Season 3 comes out. And what will happen after Season 3? At the end of Season 2, every single character was a hot mess. Rue was running around like she's Usain Bolt. Cassie and Maddie are starting World War III together. Kat is basically non-existent at this point. Jules and Nate are their own mess. It's just all over the place. There is a stark difference between Season 1 and 2. Season 1 was coherent, and all the characters' stories made sense in their own right. Season 2 was complete chaos. Another question I have is, will anybody be interested in Euphoria after all these years? There has also been a ton of drama behind the scenes, so let's get into it. Let's start with the characters first. Now, each character had their own chaos going on, and it felt like it was too much and nothing at all. They introduced Elliot just to do basically nothing with him. I love Dominic Fike, and he's a very good musician and singer, but he felt more like a placeholder and a waste of time. He didn't really do much other than sing for too long and do drugs. There are some rumors that he'll be in Season 3, but for what reason? I don't know. Kat was another character that I really wanted to talk about. In Season 1, Kat had depth and her own storyline just like every other character. However, in Season 2, she was basically shelved the entire season. She felt more like a background character than one of the main characters. She was written off the show after an alleged argument with certified weirdo Sam Levinson. Apparently, she was written off because Ferreira and Levinson had a falling out over the direction of her character. However, Ferreira denied these rumors. She also spoke about not wanting to be the fat best friend anymore, and that her storyline had issues and that Kat was sidelined in favor of other characters. To which I agree. I'm kind of sad that she won't be in Season 3, but I'm glad that she's not going to be butchered anymore. And Barbie Ferreira is an excellent actress, and I have no doubt that she'll be great in future projects. I saw her in House of Spoils with Ariana DeBose a few months ago, and she was decent in that, in all fairness. Rue's story was insane to say the least. I'm all for drama, but not when it feels like more of a gotcha moment and shock value than an actual part of the story. Rue was messing around, and she certainly found out. By the end of the season, her story felt so unfinished and inconclusive. It was so much going on with her. I was honestly losing my mind. I do hope that they conclude that storyline in Season 3. In Season 2, Rue is hitting rock bottom, and she hit it hard. She eventually started selling drugs for Lori until Jules exposed her drug abuse to her family, which caused Rue's mom to flush all the drugs down the toilet, leaving Rue angry and frustrated. She now has to find a way to pay back Lori for all the drugs that was lost, which totals up to a hefty $10,000. How in the world is a teenager gonna get $10,000? That's insane! And the fact that they didn't even finish that storyline is so annoying to me. I know that there are many storylines that felt unfinished, but Rue's was the worst for me. I'm a huge fan of Zendaya though. That's just some of the characters so far. But now we need to talk about the story, or lack thereof. Season 2 didn't really have an overall story. It was more of a conception of a first draft, in my opinion. When I watched Season 2, I had a harder time paying attention because of how lacking the story was. It felt kind of pointless. So for Season 3, we heard rumors about a time jump. Now, a time jump can be a difficult thing to pull up, Riverdale being a perfect example. They did a 7-year time skip, just not do anything with it. All the characters didn't have any real growth, and they were basically stuck as the stereotypical teenagers they were since Season 1. I think a time skip is an interesting angle to go for, but since each character all have an unfinished storyline, it makes me wonder how they're going to execute it. Fez is going to jail. Ashtray is no more, much to my dismay, because he was one of my favorite characters. Rue, like I said, owes money to Lori, and Kat doesn't really exist. Maddie, Nate, and Cassie are in their chaotic web. No pun intended. We need to see Nate get locked up after what he did to Maddie. Cassie and Maddie needs a lot of therapy. Rue needs to get her life together. We also need to see what happened after the fight, because that little bathroom scene just wasn't it for me. I wonder how they are going to do a 5-year time skip. All the characters are going to be in their early to mid-20s by that point. There is going to be years of story that needs to be addressed, as well as the aftermath of everything from season 2. How are they going to explain all the lost time? Because in 5 years, a lot can change. The characters that we once knew will all be grown up. Some might have moved out of town, some might have went to college, or started a new relationship. There are so many possibilities and liabilities from this time skip. I don't think they can explain where everyone is after the last time we saw them, especially since 5 years is a long time. There will be a lot of growth. I hope so, at least. I don't think that the writers will be able to write an in-depth episode for each character, especially since they don't make more than like 8 episodes. That is a lot of story to go through in just 8 freaking episodes. It will be quite the jumble to introduce and conclude each character and what they've been in the last 5 years in just 8 episodes. There was a lot of open plot lines and loose storylines that were left completely unfinished and unexplored. Like what happened with Lori? What happened to Cassie and Lexi's relationship after the play? What happened to Cal and Nate's relationship? Will Rue finally become clean? And how will she pay back Lori? What happened to Jules and Nate's story? Will Maddie go through her healing era? Will all the characters get the therapy they clearly all need? There is just so many unanswered questions that a time skip will not answer in its entirety. I don't know how they will continue the show after this point because it is going downhill. It's been 3 years since the last season. Now, I understand that the actors are all busy with their own lives. Zendaya was in Dune Part 2 and Challengers. Jacob Elordi was in Saltburn and some other projects. Sydney Sweeney has her own stuff going on, as well as the unfortunate passing for Angus Cloud. There is just so much going on. I honestly think that for the story to move forward, Sam Levinson needs to get off his high horse and let some other people in the writer's room. After the disaster that was The Idol, the image that Levinson had was basically tarnished. The Idol was originally written by a woman since the show followed a woman. But somehow, Levinson as well as The Weeknd swooped in and stomped all over it. His portrayal of women in his shows really irritates me since they're constantly nude or being talked about like they're not real people, and it's concerning since they're all teenagers. Sam is often the only writer for whatever show he's working on, which isn't the best thing since he's not really able to connect with each character, like with Kat. And being able to connect her to the overall plot, she was essentially tossed aside because of the lack of point of view for that character. Honestly, I don't know how he could relate with any of the female characters since he is a man. So how is he supposed to connect with any of them realistically? The way he writes the female characters is very exploitative in my opinion, especially Cassie. It just felt weird. I don't know if it's just me. I liked season 1. It was decently written, but at the same time, he was the one who wrote season 2 by himself. Season 2 was pretty good, but there was so many plot holes and just too much going on. Levinson has to get his ego in check in order for Euphoria to progress in an interesting and coherent way. This time, Skip sounds more like a way to wrap up all the loose ends from season 2 in a little recap or something. But that sounds like a cheap way to finish off the storylines that he left hanging in the wind. Is he actually going to do something with all the loose plot lines, or is he going to continue to ignore them? With season 3 filming right now, it mostly likely won't be out by early to mid-2026. And at that point, it would have been 4 years since the last season. Wow! 4 years for 8 episodes. By that time, will anyone really be interested in Euphoria anymore? All their fans would be much older and would have moved on by then. I know I have. I was like 15 or 16 when season 2 came out, and I was a fan at the time. I liked it for what it was worth, but after 4 years, I don't know if I'm really that interested anymore. There were delay after delay, drama, chaotic scheduling. There is just so much going on behind the scenes that all affect the progression of the new season. However, I will still watch front and center so I can give you guys my commentary, and I kind of want to see what they'll do after all the loose ends from Season 2 and how it will affect Season 3. But at the end of the day, I'm still a little curious, and I will be watching. You can call it morbid curiosity. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. I'm curious to see what you guys think about Season 3 and the time skip. Thank you so much for watching.